Hi everyone, and welcome to SGLEDs Amazon Live video. Today we'll be going through our security light range. Here are some of the products on the table, but we'll be focusing specifically on the 27 watt security light today. So for the 27 watt security light, we'll just be outlining some of the top features, the design, specifications, some of its applications, and how you can kind of put it around your home for it to light up the backyard, front yard, or kind of a commercial property. So first of all, we'll just kind of go through and speak about the design and the specifications of the light. So first of all, as you can see, there's two twin heads. These are both adjustable, horizontally and vertically. So as you can see, I'm moving it horizontally now. This can be adjusted 180 degrees. And if I was to twist it and turn the head, one of the heads here, it adjusts vertically as well, 180 degrees. So this means the light can kind of cover your home at every angle. So you can kind of install it on the corner of your home or residential building, or kind of put the light anywhere you need, as the heads are kind of adjustable, the light's customizable. So you can kind of install it and put it anywhere around your home or property just for kind of extra security lighting. So in terms of the actual specifications of the light, we can just kind of go through some of the basic ones. So it's actually, although it's 27 watts, in terms of incandescent comparisons, it's a 200 watt equivalent. So the light that comes out of this is 2,700 lumens. 2,700 lumens is actually really bright. It can kind of cover a very wide area and kind of range, especially in terms of lighting up a backyard. The color temperature that comes out from these beams, from this light, is actually 5000 K. So 5000 K is kind of like a really nice natural daylight to contrast the darkness of nighttime. So if you're outputting a natural daylight beam in the dark, like in the thick darkness of nighttime, you can create like a really stark contrast and identify objects and people that are coming, or people, objects, animals, anything that's kind of coming towards your home or that's outside. So with 2,700 lumens and 5,000 K color temperature, you can kind of identify objects and everything really easily that's coming near your home. So it's really bright and practical for outside and for security reasons. In terms of the actual design of the light on top, as you can see here within one of the heads, there's 3 ceramic heat sinks. So these all have the LED chips attached directly with a lens covering, just for kind of durability and just to make sure the light is evenly distributed. So each twin head has 3 ceramic heat sinks. As you can see, that's a total of 6. So you get 6 ceramic heat sinks for a 27 watt. So this is kind of really bright, and the range is actually evenly distributed as it's distributed across 6 different heat sinks. So now we kind of go across just more basic specifications first, especially to do with the body. So as you can see, there's a hollow body of the head. This is just to kind of help the heatsink promote heat dissipation away from the LED chip. In terms of the actual design and range of the light, it's an IP65. So as far as security lights are concerned, this is quite a high rating. IP65, so the first number, the 6, is the waterproof rating. It's actually one of the highest ratings you can get. So IP6 for waterproof is actually really high. It's kind of well protected against jet sprays, or it just can't be immersed deeply in water, but in terms of high jet sprays, high powered jet sprays, anything in terms of bad weather, the light will survive perfectly fine. It's kind of it's built to last, so it will function fine within incredibly harsh conditions outside. There's no kind of weather that can match an IP65 kind of rating. In terms of the 5 rating for dust proof, in the IP65, the 5 rating is one of the highest ratings as well. It's not the highest, but it's the second highest. So for 5, this is kind of the only dust proof kind of ceiling you need for an outdoor light. So IP65 is well covered against any kind of outdoor or harsh conditions. So it's going to work perfectly fine just outside your home. There will be no problems in terms of kind of weather or any kind of harsh conditions. It's going to work perfectly fine. And now we can kind of cover some of the motion sensor specifications. So the motion sensor actually has a range of 180 degrees. So 180 degree motion sensor range is kind of quite wide. It's far covering, so it's kind of going to cover a wide range outside your home. If you were actually to purchase 2, you'd get 360, so a total combination of that could kind of surround a very large, or the whole of your home or residential building. But 180 is enough definitely to cover kind of the front of any property. So if you put it on a garage or the front of your home, 180 degrees, you kind of be able to sense anything that's coming towards your home from a very wide kind of coverage angle. To get the maximum sensory angle or sensory range and angle, you'd have to install the light at around 7.8 feet or 2.7 meters high. So if you want the highest, or the highest range of the motion sensor, the sensitivity, which is 50 feet, you would have to install the light at 7.8 feet high. Obviously, it's kind of like a estimation, so if you actually want the range to be reduced, or you don't really need the full 50 feet range, as this is kind of a very far-reaching range, you can just install the light a little bit lower, but then average garage height is around 7 feet anyway, so it's there's not too much difference. So if you put it on an average garage height of about 7 feet, 7.5 feet, the maximum, you're kind of close to the maximum sensing range anyway. So the light is going to kind of function optimally wherever you install it for protecting your home. So now we're just going to speak about the beam again. So it's actually really super bright. There's 2,700 lumens at 5,000 K, so this is going to light up a very wide coverage area. And also, due to the heatsink and the way the LED chips are distributed, you're going to cover around, each head covers around 120-degree angle. So you're getting 120 degrees from this side and 120 degrees from this side. So you're going to be covering a very kind of wide coverage area, and especially if you're going to be turning them with a rectangular head as well, you may be getting a bit more coverage as well. So if you rotate them and turn them wherever you need the light to go, this is a really good option just for lighting your home. So now we can kind of go into some more detail about the ceramic heat sinks. So as you can see, there's obviously, we spoke about it earlier, there's 3 ceramic heat sinks. There's this is our kind of adapted, patented technology. So we'd use COC technology, so chip on ceramic. So the benefits of using chip on ceramic technology for SGLEDs is that in comparison to kind of traditional LED lights that use aluminium heat sinks, they need PC boards or thermal adhesives. So in our lights we don't have these, we don't have PC boards and we don't have thermal adhesives. So the LED chip is just directly attached onto the heatsink, the ceramic heatsink here, with the very wide surface as you can see. So we just directly attach the chips onto the ceramic heatsink, and then we just attach the lens to keep them in place. And the lens is kind of in-house made, and it's just all about kind of directing the light exactly where we want it to go using the lens. So the kind of benefits to using our ceramic heat sinks is that our ceramic heat sinks actually have a very wide surface area. A heat sink actually needs a very wide surface area to distribute the heat away from the LED chips to prolong the life of the LED chip. So if you combine a kind of 3 very wide-faced ceramic heat sinks with a hollow head, as you can see on this light, if you're combining this, there's kind of a lot of air convection and a lot of heat dissipation, moving the heat away from the LED chips. So the LED chips won't be producing, well, they won't be producing a lot of heat. They won't be surrounded by a lot of heat. So the light will be running at a fairly cool temperature. Now we're just going to cover the 4 modes of the light. So the 4 modes you can actually find on the bottom of the face of the motion sensor. So as we can go first, we can just kind of say what they are. On the camera it will be difficult to see, but if you purchase one, you'll be able to see the modes. So we'll just say them out loud as I go through them. Hopefully it will give you a better idea. So the first mode on the motion sensor is test mode. And then there's auto mode, on time mode, and dusk till dawn mode. So we'll go through each of the modes and their specifications and how they're used, and then we can kind of just go through them and see where they're most applicable for your home or commercial property. So first of all, the motion sensor has test mode. So this mode is not really a working mode, it's just more for when you take the light out of packaging, so you can kind of make sure that the motion sensor is working. So test mode is actually, you just set the light to test mode, and then you'll be kind of, you have to wave or do something in front of the motion sensor to make sure it's working. As the light will be working straight out of the packaging in test mode, once something is triggers the motion sensor, the lights will come on and illuminate. So test mode is just about taking the light from the box, making sure the motion sensor works and the lights illuminate. The next mode is actually auto mode, the second mode on the light. So auto mode actually is kind of one of the more practical features, especially for your home or kind of producing more security for your property. So to set the light to auto mode, if motion is detected, the light will illuminate for the time you set. So actually you need a combination of auto mode with the time setting on the bottom of the motion sensor. So with auto mode you kind of set the time on the bottom here, and then once the light is once a motion is triggered on the motion sensor for auto mode, then the lights will illuminate for the time you set. So the time you set actually ranges from 1 minute to 10 minutes. So with auto mode you kind of just wait for the motion triggers to come, and then the light will remain illuminated for the time you've set on the bottom of the light. So this ranges anywhere between 1 to 10 minutes. Then the third setting is actually on time mode. So on time mode is actually when you set the light can stay on for illuminated for 7 hours. So this only is kind of applicable for nighttime really. But it's 7 hours, you set the light on time mode, and the light will just illuminate constantly for 7 hours. So if you need this kind of feature, this is more kind of commercial lighting kind of needs, especially if you need bright floodlight lighting all night for 7 hours. So it's kind of an extra security feature. It's good for commercial properties. You can use it obviously in residential areas, especially if your home is not near other ones or too close. So on time mode is kind of a practical feature. Although the light is not reactionary, it's more passive in this phase because it's just kind of constantly illuminated. It works as a regular light. You do get a lot of light coming from the two twin heads, so on time mode is applicable kind of just for giving your home or commercial property a lot of lighting for a long period of time. And then the final mode we have, which is kind of one of the most popular, especially for customers in kind of both residential or commercial properties, is dusk till dawn mode. On the motion it says D to D, so D to D is dusk till dawn mode. So you can just kind of set the light to D to D mode. It's more of an energy saving mode and makes the light more reactionary. So it's kind of saving you a lot of maintenance or kind of playing around with the light, especially during the daytime. So kind of the main feature and the benefits of D to D or dusk till dawn mode is that the light actually kind of stays off during the daytime, as there's a photo cell on the bottom here to sense the brightness outside. So this is kind of from 150 lux or downwards. So when the light is 150 lux or brighter, especially like a normal kind of daylight brightness, the light will remain off and the light will not be reactionary. But once the light is set into D to D mode and it turns kind of dusk or kind of a little bit darker outside, around 150 lumens or less, then the light will become reactionary and the motion sensor will become triggered by movement and the light will illuminate. So dusk to dawn mode is kind of one of the most practical and easiest features that our customers like, as it's kind of just makes the light require less kind of tinkering with. You're just kind of letting the light do its job. So it's one of the most common kind of settings our customers always set the light to. So now we're just going to briefly talk about the lux setting, just because with D to D mode you will need to set the lux setting. The lux setting on these lights is actually quite very sensitive, so it's the first toggle on the bottom of the motion sensor. So just to prevent any kind of false triggers in the D to D mode, it's recommended that we set the lux setting in the middle of the toggle. So kind of it's just to prevent any flickers or false triggerings, as in D to D mode the light is actually relying on the photocell sensitivity. So if the photocell is very sensitive, especially during the daytime or nighttime, the light may flicker. So you will need to set the light into a medium lux setting, just to kind of prevent any false triggers, just in case they happen. However, if you do think the light is not reacting enough in D to D mode, or not early enough in dusk or dawn mode, you kind of play around with the lux setting, especially if you don't think it's sensitive enough. You can kind of put it up or put it down depending on what you need. So now we're just going to quickly kind of talk about the installation process of this light. As it's a kind of it was kind of designed as a simple installation light, especially for your home or commercial property. We'll just kind of go through some of the basic way just to install this light. So I'll hold a different light just to kind of show, as this one's already plugged in. So this one is a 36 watt, as you can see there's 4 heat sinks. So in terms of the light, installing it as well on a property, commercial or home or residential, you will need to kind of match the 3 wires up. So you'll need to find a place in your home or building, property, that has 3 wires that match these. So you will need to find the 3 wires, which will be black, green and white. So once you find these 3 wires in the property or where you want to install the light, you'll just match white with white, green with green and black with black. So once they all match each other, you just twist them together with the kind of wire connectors provided in the packaging. And then once you've done that, you'll kind of put it through the rubber gasket on the back for extra dust-proof sealing. And then the light actually comes with a installation bolt, which is kind of about maybe 2 to 3 inches long. So in the middle of the light here, you can see there's a gap. This is actually for putting the mounting bolt right the way through to the installation. So when you're installing the light onto your home or commercial property, you just kind of stick the mounting bolt right through the middle of the light and then twist with the screwdriver, and it will just kind of be mounted straight directly onto a wall. So say this is the wall, you're just kind of screwing it right in, it will just be directly attached exactly where you put it. So it's kind of like a really simple installation process, just as long as you remember that the wires need to match each color, so black with black, white with white, and green with green. Put the rubber gasket on the back of the light, and then put the mounting bolt right through the middle of the light where the hole is provided here. As soon as you kind of twist through, it will be really simple and easy. Actually, it will take the whole installation process may take maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It's just really simple. You just kind of stick it onto the wall, install it, tighten it, and then the light's working fine. So you just kind of need to do that, and then the light works perfectly fine. Once you've installed it easily like that, the light's ready to go, ready to use, and you can set it to the mode exactly what you want. However, I would recommend, if you've installed it onto a wall or straight away, I would definitely still use it in test mode first, just to make sure everything's working after you wired it out and turned it on, and then you can kind of set the light to whatever mode you kind of wanted or need. But once you purchase the light, maybe you can play around in each mode just to make sure each mode is working well as well. So set it to on-time mode, even if you don't think you will ever use it, just to make sure the light is working, and kind of you can get 7 hours of constant lighting if you need. So now we'll just kind of turn the light on, and then kind of show what it's doing when it's actually being used. We'll kind of show the brightness, especially in the dark room. So we'll turn the lights off now, just so we can kind of see the light in action. So as you can see, I've turned the light on here. This is a 27 watt version. As you can see, 2,700 lumens. It's kind of illuminating a pretty bright area. I wouldn't direct it in my eyes, as it's really quite bright, especially 2,700 at natural daylight. So as I turn the twin heads outwards, you can see that the coverage is actually really wide, especially with the 2 rectangle heads, because the 3 ceramic heat sinks are kind of next to each other. It gives you a wide coverage at this angle, and if I was to turn it this way, kind of vertically, you can see that it's there. So as it's like this, you can see there's a very high kind of CRI as well, just because it's 5000K. So 5000K is similar to natural daylight. So the actual quality and clearness of the light is actually going to be very good. It's going to make you identify objects really easily. As you can see on top of these kind of products as well, the other security lights, they're really clear to see. The white light is really kind of bringing out the features of the lights and creating kind of, you can see the brightness. So we'll turn the lights back on now, just so we can kind of go through and cover some of the most popular questions we get about our lights. So I turned the light off just because it's kind of too bright to leave on, especially near my face. So we'll just kind of cover some of the most popular questions we get about our security lights, about how they work, and some of the most common questions we get. So our most popular question we get, especially on our Amazon page, is can the light be mounted horizontally on a soffit or under an eave of a roof? So actually, yes, the light can be installed pretty much anywhere. So you can definitely, even with here's the 18 watt, you can definitely install the light under an eave. It's simple. It's just the same installation process. It's very easy. You can just kind of work, the light will still work perfectly fine. The only issue we'd have, especially if you do mount it on an eave, would be where the motion sensor goes. So you would definitely maybe lose some of the range of the motion sensor, especially if you're installing it vertically like this. The coverage and stuff will be good. The coverage angle and everything and the brightness will be exactly the same. The light will work. It's just more that you will lose kind of some of the coverage of the motion sensor, especially if you're installing it at an angle like this underneath a roof. So we do kind of recommend horizontally installing the lights, especially on a wall or building. But if you do want to kind of just get the floodlights and lose some and not really use too much of the motion sensor, you can kind of do this. However, if it is installed kind of vertically on under an eave or a roof, the motion sensor will definitely trigger. It's just kind of you will lose some of the coverage area, especially if it was mounted horizontally. So it's more of like a kind of comparison. You will lose some coverage. However, the motion sensor still works. It's just kind of like an opportunity cost, so whatever you want. So it's like you've chosen to install it vertically, you will lose some of the motion sensor coverage. However, the motion sensor will still work if you've vertically mounted it. So the second most popular light question we get is, do you have a similar light that is solar and not hardwired? At the moment, we do not have any lights that are not hardwired, as we kind of designed all of our lights to be hardwired. However, in the future, we're definitely looking into solar technology. We've been researching kind of garden lighting and general lights, especially for outdoor gardens, porch lighting, security lighting. We've definitely been looking and spent almost 1 year so far researching into solar lights and solar technology to make kind of bright LED solar lights that can be used around the home. We're just kind of taking our time on this at the moment just because we want to kind of develop the most cost-effective and best way to light your home using solar power and still producing an incredibly bright beam such as our hardwired lights. So we're just kind of taking our time on this at the moment, although we are kind of moving forward and in the right direction towards solar technology. What's the maximum motion detection distance? So we kind of covered this a little bit earlier. It depends on the height you've installed the light to. So it's kind of it depends on how high you've actually installed it. So the maximum coverage is 180 degrees. So the angle coming from the motion sensor coverage is 180 degrees. If you install the light at the recommended kind of optimal height of 7.8 feet or 2.7 meters, you will get the maximum range of 50 feet. So it kind of depends on if you're willing to kind of stick the light higher, you'll get more coverage, and if you want it kind of lower, you'll get slightly less kind of sensory range. However, the kind of difference between these is not too much, so it's not really kind of going to make too much of a difference. If you go from kind of 7.8 feet down to 7.3 feet, the kind of sensory range won't be too effective. However, we do to get the absolute maximum, we do recommend installing the light at kind of 2.7 meters or 7.8 feet. So will this light work indoors, kind of in a laundry room or like a closet or something, just for the motion trigger? Obviously the light will work perfectly fine just to be used within anywhere, just as long as it's plugged in. But it's kind of not recommended to really use this light indoors, as the floodlights are actually very powerful, especially within your home or something. It would be too bright. However, if you were kind of in a warehouse or a barn or kind of any outdoor workshop where you wanted a motion trigger, especially motion trigger floodlights, this light can be used there. It will work perfectly fine. It will work exactly the same as outdoors. It's just kind of the floodlights are actually very bright, so to use this within a small area, especially indoors, would not be a great idea, and it would not be optimal. However, you can do it. So we'll cover our last few questions that we get about our lights. So, does this light only work at night time? I mean, the light can work any time because the light has variable modes. So if you set the light to on-time mode, the light will just remain illuminated for 7 hours, whether it's day or night. In terms of D to D mode, this is kind of the most practical kind of mode for day or nighttime lighting, as it will save energy. So if you set the light to D to D or dusk till dawn mode, the light will be off, kind of energy saving during the day, and not use the motion sensor or illuminate. And at nighttime, the light will kind of be reactionary, especially towards movement and motion triggers. So the light can work kind of any time during the day. It just depends what setting you set the light in. Obviously, this light has various modes, 4 to be specific. So if you have 4 different modes, the kind of light adapts to whatever you want it to do. So it's customizable, and you kind of, if you want it to work during the daytime or nighttime, you can just get the light to do whatever you want it to do. And the final question we get is kind of, can I replace the bulbs or not, and how long do they last? Actually, in terms of replacing a heatsink or a LED chip, it's not possible to do this, as they're all kind of connected and wired through the lamp as well at the back of the light. So the LED chips and the ceramic heatsink are not really replaceable. However, you do have a 5-year warranty, so even if you do have any issues, you can just kind of email us at SGLEDs, and we kind of get back to you and probably send you a replacement anyway within the first 5 years. So you don't really need to worry about whether it's lasting or not, as they do last. But if you do incur any issues, you can kind of just email, and we'll kind of get back to you and probably send you a new product. So now we're just going to kind of talk about the deal we have today. Especially for this week, going on about our security light range. I'll just put this one down. This is the 18 watt, so to avoid confusion. The 27 watt This is the 27 watt, as you can recognize it with 3 heat sinks. So that was the 18 with 2, so the 27 has 3 heat sinks, and this week the 27 watt actually has a coupon, not a coupon code, but it has a coupon and a deal on this week, especially on Amazon. So we actually have 15% off on our 27 security watt light range, and the sale price for this week will actually be $29.74. So you're going to get a lot of light, a lot of brightness, and a very customizable light for under $30. So we'll just kind of outline this again. So it's actually under $30 for $27.74 this week, with no coupon code needed to type in. You just kind of go to our Amazon page, and it's applicable, and you can kind of get a good deal on a 27 watt light. So it's 15% off, and the deal is really good. So we kind of recommend that you just kind of head over to SGLEDs on Amazon and check out the 27 watt range, and you can kind of get a really good deal on a 27 watt security light. So hopefully you enjoyed this video this week, and we'll kind of cover maybe in the future our other security light range, and kind of some of our other lights, especially the grow lights and the security lights, as these are our most popular on Amazon.